All right. Hi. We're reading the Florida Department of Transportation Rail Handbook Executive Summary. Last day updated January 2012. The purpose of the Rail Office Program Handbook. The Rail Handbook is to identify the designated responsibility rail process and support with the Florida Department of Transportation mission, a safe transportation system which ensures the mobility of people and goods and enhances economy prosperity, preserves the quality of environment and the community. Department Procedure Topic Number 725080002. Rail Handbook identifies the rail processes, guidelines, responsibility for development implementation programs, which include Highway Rail Grade Crossing Inventory, Highway Rail Grade Crossing Safety Improvement Program, Construction Maintenance Project Management Program, Public High Railway Grade Crossing Opening, Closure Program, Railroad Safety Inspection Program, Florida Railroad Safety Railroad System Planning, Railway Emergency Management Plan, use of locomotive horns and high rail grade crossing, a quiet zone application process. The principal user of the Rail Handbook Department and personnel railroad companies design the construction companies, transportation planners, Florida cities and counties, individuals, groups requesting information permits pertaining to the rail program, other state and federal organizations involved with the development and implementation of rail programs. Chapter 1 Highway Rail Grade Crossing Inventory. The Department of Highway Rail Grade Crossing Inventory includes the database application of the Highway Grade Crossing Inventory. The Railway Highway Grade Crossing Inventory contains the railroad highway crossing data to support the Department of the U.S. Department of Transportation Highway and the Federal Highway Administration, Federal Railroad Administration, Highway Railway Crossing Safety Program and initiatives. The Federal Railroad Administration requires the Department to collect and report data elements requirement of the data collection, data entry of the railway highway crossing inventory. Data definitions: railroad crossing, an intersection of the railroad corridor road, roadway or bicycle pedestrian pathway intersecting at the grade of the grade separation of public and private passageway. Highway rail grade crossing. A location of the railroad track is crossed at the grade of the public or private roadway. The rail highway crossing inventory. The department RHCI. The department repository for the data elements specific to the railroad crossing within the state. Crossing inventory field data. The data collected on site in specific railroad crossing record manually diagnostic field review data sheets entered into the computer with the has been programmed, recorded, and file required data elements. Data collection may include photo documentation railroad crossing, which shows the required areas and ancillary equipment. Crossing identification number, the numeric alpha number to the example 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6A, located on cross warning device, post, cross control cabinet, and other locations within the boundaries of the railroad crossing location. The number typically be on the attached place placard on one of the structures, sensitive of any of the structures support within the grade crossing area. Crossing location information, crossing number, county, Florida Department of Transportation, district, latitude, longitude, rail company name, railroad post, mile post, U.S. route number, crossing street number, name or number, or any other additional information that supports the proper location of a crossing site. Crossing status indicates one of the several combinations of status, roadway and or track. Four statuses identified: roadway opening, track active, roadway open, track inactive, closed with the roadway removed, closed with the track removed. Crossing type, ownership of the crossing as or public or private crossing, purpose, highway, vehicle, pathway, pedestrian, or other station pedestrian, data collection. The railroad highway crossing and inventory contains all railroad data elements meeting the Federal Railroad Administration and the Florida Department of Transportation requirements. Field data is collected through the diagnostic field reviews. Crossing status changes the rail crossing inventory activity data updated with the transmitted to the FRA based on the requirements from the Rail Safety Improvement Act of 2008, Title 49, U.S. Standard Code 20101. Section 204, National Crossing Inventory. Field data. Each railroad is inspected, photographed, inventoried at the crossing location to verify the features and location. Office data collection may include the documentation data collection such as number of the lanes, the number type of the tracks, crossing status, crossing purpose, crossing type, the annual average daily traffic, AADT, school bus counts, and railroad schedules. The Central Rail Office shall be responsible for statewide oversight over the railway highway crossing inventory data collection program related to the FRA reporting process, including acting as liaison between the department and the Federal Railroad Administration, overseeing the data and software, including the creating and maintaining and managing software needed to operate the railroad highway crossing inventory, verifying the data elements to each of the railroad crossing in the state through the inventories updated with all the railroad crossings should be located. All data elements for the railroad highway crossing inventory verified approximately every 3 years, incorporating new railroad cross noticing, updating information received with the railroad company's data collection and other sources of the railroad into the railroad highway crossing inventory, updating annual school bus counts, including obtaining the source of documentation from the local school boards and private schools if available, conducting traffic counts on road with the railroad crossing as needed, updating annual train vehicle incident data for the FRA, developing annual signal safety index ranking, performing quality control, quality assurance reviews, notifying the appropriate railroad company as the use of any missing U.S. dot numbers as required by the FRA. All right, your district offices. The district rail corridors shall provide the technical data field support with the collecting of the crossing of the characteristic modification as identified crossing status changes, opening closures, new installation, the impact of the railroad highway crossing inventory should be reported. The railway highway crossing inventory updates include such as population of railroad highway crossing inventory when a railroad crossing is officially open or closed, upgraded or modified, verify the protection, project completions, closures, and changes, update the railroad highway crossing inventory when the new crossing warning device and or services is installed, update the railroad highway crossing inventory when the railroad submits as a new U.S. dot grade crossing inventory form forward to the completed U.S. dot Department of Transportation grade crossing inventory form to the FRA, which comply with the Central Rail Office. Chapter 2, Highway Railway Grade Crossing Safety Improvement Program. The Department of Highway Introduction. The Department of Highway Railway Grade Crossing Safety Improvement Program has regulatory authority, section 335, 141, 2A Florida State statutes. The program identifies the public highway railway grade crossing location needs to improve and enhance safety through the installing, upgrading public highway rail grade crossing warning devices, circuitry, and other surfaces to conduct corridor reviews and identify the roadway signalization improvements to reduce the hazards, identify the redundant and unnecessary public highway railway grade crossing for potential elimination, and evaluates effectiveness safety improvement projects. Step 1, Diagnostic Field Review Process. Incidents entered into the Railroad Highway Crossing Inventory by May of the Central Railway Office enters the rail crossing incidents into the Railway Highway Crossing Inventory for the preceding calendar year and calculates the safety for each of the crossing. Proximity. A priority list of the crossing of the review during the May. Each of the district rail corridors will remain safety index report from the railway highway crossing inventory listing crossing based on the safety index rank. The priority listing can be adjusted by eliminating and adding crosses based on existing warning device compared with the recommended warning device. Crossings on a prior diagnostic field review list are determined to be poor candidates for safety signal improvement at the time for which the conditions have changed. Crossing scheduled for improvement, abandonment, and closure. Crossing for signals over 30 years old or other age-related problems. Crossing for safety issues not reflected in the safety index. Crossing as part of the corridor review. Crossing in the passive devices that have incidents for the last year. Crossing with the railroad traffic carriers with the hazardous material passengers and have plans to increase the rail traffic. Crossing identified with the citizens as unsafe. Crossing identified with the railroad partner unsafe with the near misses. Schedule for the diagnostic field review. The Central Rail Office will coordinate with the schedule of the diagnostic field reviews of each district rail coordinator. The general time frame for the reviews is during the summer from May to August. District rail coordinator will determine the diagnostic field review locations, coordinate with the railroad companies and local agencies. The diagnostic field review team members each of the district will prepare the diagnostic field review data sheets, incident reports with each of the crossing to be reviewed. The diagnostic field review team should be multidisciplinary with the ability to evaluate conditions, recommended crossing safety improvements. Should include the central district rail representative, the district safety and/or traffic operations, engineering, railroad personnel, if applicable, the engineering personnel with the city or the county with the jurisdictional authority of over the crossing. Should be notified with the district railway coordinator with the time and the place on the crossing data information. The district rail coordinator will confirm each of the team members' participation in the review. The diagnostic field review of the team observation should include railroad classification, mainline branch, industrial spur, train, traffic mix, switching through the thorough or passenger operating in the vicinity of the crossing, condition, visibility, warning devices, including advanced warning signals and pavement markings. Other traffic control devices contributing to vehicles stopping on the crossing that may require signal preemption. Signals and signals that are fixed hazards, alignment, and grade, i.e. profile slightly different distance from the crossing, crossing surface conditions, roadway geometrics, diverting of the driver attention, physical characteristics of crossing, including auxiliary lines, lanes, lighting, and driveways, conditions leading to the vehicles being stopped and queued on the crossing, hazard weight presented with the vehicles required for the law state and crossing, i.e. school buses, public transportation buses, tracking trucks carrying hazardous materials, etc. Type of the railroad, freeway, arterial, collector roadway, streets, local road and streets, roadway operational characteristics, including traffic volume, vehicle or speed, and type of the use, buses, pedestrians, etc. Motorist behavior, condition of the railway crossing in the area, proximity to nearby crossing. The diagnostic field review team data collection. The diagnostic field review team will note the crossing information that is incorrect or missing later in the entry of the railway highway grade crossing inventory. The diagnostic field review team recommendations based on the evaluation of the crossing. The team may recommend the following safety improvements compliant with the Chapter 14-57.0123 of the Final Administration Code of Florida Department of Transportation Design Standards Topic Number 625010003 and Manual Uniform Control Traffic Control Devices Mute CD the dot crossing number identification emergency notification system signs flashing lights and gates pedestrian flashlights and gates advanced warning beacon advanced warning sign, replacement of the cabinet, pavement markings, stop, bars, railroad crossing marks, additional signage, pavement markings, do not stop on the track, and number of the track signs, yield sign, stop sign, low ground, clearance sign, ADA improvement signage, overhead illumination, traffic and signal installation preemption, advance and simultaneously, instant warning time, or CWT, direct current, alternating current, audio frequency overlay, motion sensor, shut detectors, curb and gutter, improve the geometry, pavement, shoulder through the crossing surface rehabilitation, replacement, raised medians, barriers, fill and drain, improvements, utility, relocation, tree, brush, trimming, and candidates for consolidation. District Railway Highway Crossing Inventory Update. Crossing up the data corrections additions acquired during the diagnostic field review will be updated with the Railway Highway Crossing Inventory with the District Railway Coordinator. The district submitted with the proposed project either the district railway coordinator will subject the central rail office information of all the crossing reviewed during the diagnostic field review the 30 days after the reviewing, including the complete diagnostic field review, data sheets, cost estimates provided with the railroad company's safety step 2 safety program funding process. Project approval, central railway office determine the maximum available fund and approve projects reviewed by the statewide and projects are selected with the central railway office using the number of the factors including safety index, project costs, incident and history, corridor evidence, diagnostic field reviews, team safety observation, upgrading crossing of the passive devices, active devices, input, local governments, input, railroad partners. In the interest of maximizing impact, limited funding, low-cost improvements are also considered. One of the low-cost applications the department works to implement is to install light emitting diodes or LEDs on the east and west crossings to improve the warning, the visibility of the monitoring public. Federal aid and project number assignment. The central office will submit the list of the candidates project for the federal aid office approval. Encumbrance and fund. Each of the district will encumber the funds with the comptroller office each for the safety improvement project. Step 3, Safety Program Contracting Process. Change the order used for the state road projects under the terms existing in master agreements for the district will request federal approval encumbering funds. Execute change of order to state road safety improvement projects. Checking and change orders to use for the office system projects under the terms of the existing agreement. The district will execute the change of order for the office system safety improvement act project of the type of the class if the signal has not changed existing agreements. Has language stating that the schedule of the annual cost of the automatic highway grade crossing devices is subject to future revision. Agreements executed with the District Railway Coordinator will facilitate execution of appropriate agreement disseminating copies of all the parties, including Central Rail Office. The requirements of City Council will be restated with the cover letter that accompanies the executed agreement. The order of the documentation submitted with the Central Rail Office or part of the agreement should be as follows: legal documents, resolutions. If the tri-party with the City and the Council, maintenance schedule only if the signals involved, detailed estimate encumbrance in federal electronic authorization crossing, signal generic safety program, communication adjustment, flagging service company plans, installation adjustment, company circuit drawings, Florida Department of Transportation Design Standards 560 and its crossing involved 1788-2 if in signal installations, relocation 17721 if in conduity is installation 280 if drainage installation sheets 2 through 4. All right, this shows the railroad forms accessible, the InfoNet forms, railroad daily diary, railroad changing order, railroad relocations schedule, work description, grade crossing, new reconstruction work, description, grade crossing, traffic control device, railroad reimbursement agreement, grade crossing, railroad reimbursement agreement, grade crossing supplement, railroad reimbursement agreement, grade crossing, traffic control devices, railroad reimbursement agreement, grade cross traffic control devices supplement. Railroad reimbursement agreement, grade crossing controlling traffic control device. Railroad reimbursement agreement, grade crossing traffic control device. Railroad reimbursement grade crossing traffic control device. Preemption. Railroad reimbursement agreement, grade cross traffic control device supplemental, railroad reimbursement agreement, synchronization of grade crossing traffic control devices, railroad reimbursement grade crossing traffic control devices, railroad reimbursement agreement, synchronization of the grade crossing traffic control devices. County City Resolution Grade Crossing Traffic Control Device, three-party County City Resolution Grade Crossing Traffic Control Device, County City Resolution Synchronization Grade Crossing Traffic Control Device, notice of reimbursement or no non-reimbursable utility construction work. Step 4, construction installation process, preliminary engineering design. Preliminary engineering made by the railroad company will begin with the verification of the project scope letter from the district. The district reviews the design package and submits the approval for the railroad with notice of the proceed construction installation. The installation project is scheduled with the railroad. The railroad company orders the materials, notify the district of the scheduled construction start date. The railroad company provides this in-service notification into the district railway corridor. The district inspects the project, provides approval and the service date letter in the central rail office of the railroad company. All right, step 5, project payment process. Completion date letter. The district submits a 180-day project completion date letter to the railroad. The final bill will, from the railroad is received by the district within 180 days. District furnished payment within 45 days. Contest invoice paying the final bill minus the exemption. Exemptions to invoice exemption to the district by the district required railroad to submit a new invoice documentation. District concludes the project payment within 45 days. Unencumbrances fund the district railway coordinator with the encumbrance fund and notify the district federal aid coordinator. Step 5, railroad highway crossing inventory process. District update. The district update railway highway crossing inventory. The new signal information for the safety improvement project. Step 6, program evaluation 6 years before and after the report. Each of the July Central Rail office will submit a 6 year before and after report. The report is project cost summary with the comparison incidental with the track volume, comparing the periods of 6 years before and 6 years after the project completion. Conduct quality assurance reviews on the selected project for the compliance with these process. Lump sum payments. Lump sum payments may be made when the railroad and department agreed to be the method installed. The eligible railroad work is limited to $100,000 maximum reimbursement, and the work is included with the high intensity reflected cross belt projects, warning device upgrades, light lenses replacement program, cross inventory and identification projects. Reimbursement agreement. The railroad reimbursement agreement must clearly document all the terms, conditions necessary to give the agreement between the railroad and department, clearly define the scope of the work, identify all the tasks to be provided by the railroad, establish and specify deliverables, measurable events directly related to the scope, require all the project records to be made available to the department inspection, establish remedies, non-compliance and non-performance, establish steps of the prorating invoice amounts with the minimum performance standards are not met. Chapter 3, Highway, Railway, Grade Crossing, Construction and Maintenance Project Management Program. Introduction, construction and maintenance of highway, rail, grade crossing, which include new construction, reconstruction, widening, and or resurfacing the road near the right-of-way of the highway, railway, grade crossing, require negotiation with the railroad and local governments in accordance with Section 33711 Florida State Law and Rule Chapter 1457 Florida Administrative Code. The railroad corridor management is required with the acquired and abandoned of the railroad corridors according to Section 260.0161 Florida State Statute. Project included with the coordinated advance notification, pre-design, pre-construction conference, maintenance with the track and field coordinated with emergency surface maintenance, inspection, billing, Central Rail Office, the District Rail Coordinator is coordinated with the Department Office to provide these services. The Central Rail's office responsibilities are necessary to provide the district with the project development, subject project with data, the Federal Aid Office, schedule and coordinate flagging, lead effective with the railroad construction project involved in the work and not associated with the highway, rail, grade crossing, warning device, and surface maintenance, lead with the development, any of the agreement is negotiated with the railroad partners. Discussion on the future project maintains the communication with the Surface Transportation Board regarding actions relating to the amendment, abandonment alignment of the railroad lines, performing initial screening of the railroad corridors, potential available to the Department of Acquisition for the Federal Railroad abandonment notification process. Ensure compliance with requirements assigned with the Department by the Memorandum of Agreement between the Florida Department of Environmental Protection and the Department regarding the abandonment of the railroad corridors rights of the way. Evaluate the application by the local government entity with the railroad crossing permits for the full corridor where the rail service has been abandoned in accordance with Section 1457.0.014 Florida Administration Code. District Railway Corridor. The District Railway Corridor is responsible for review plans recommended to determine the eligible reimbursement cost for the removal, relocate, install railroad facilities, construction project limitations, subject construction contract documents, including work description sheets and construction plans to the railroad company, obtain estimates of the railroad reimbursement work, obtain authority for the entry of the railroad right-of-way, review and approve the railroad estimates and/or plans, obtain necessary executed agreements with the railroad and local government as the required, obtain the funding of the execution, ensuring execution of the agreement, the changing order, distribute agreements, and changing orders to all parties with the authority to proceed with the work, attending the pre-construction conference of the highway contractor railroads to identify the responsibility, establish the schedule of work, schedule and coordinate flight, schedule coordinate with emergency surface maintenance repairs within the department of the railroad, coordinate any of the railroad construction projects involving the work associated with the highway, railway, road crossing, the warning device, surface maintenance of the central office of rail staff, coordinate development, any of the agreements, negotiation with the railroad partners, discussion of the future projects, conducting site review of the prior commencement work of the railroad right-of-way for the replacement of the relocation facilities, conduct a daily inspection, request daily report to the department personnel on the construction progress of the railroad right-of-way, and obtain the final inspection documentation, ensure project compliance, approve of the invoice satisfactory, completed work, identify state road crossing locations that are affected with the abandonment of the railroad corridors, notify the district right-of-way of the administrator of these locations, request the acquisition crossing area in these in order to secure integrity with the state railroadway. Chapter 4, Public Highway Rail Grade Crossing Opening and Closure Program. Introduction. The Department has regulatory authority over all the public railroad highway grade crossings in the state, including the authority to issue the permits which shall be required prior to opening and closing such crossings. Section 335-141 Florida State Statutes. Definition. Application. Any person of the group or the indicated with the crossing railroad operating through the crossing governmental entity of the jurisdiction over the road and the department. Application of the railroad grade crossing application form 725-090 66 to open and close public railroad grade crossing, a location which the railroad track is go across the grade and public road. Stipulation and party of the voluntary agreement between the department and the railroad government entity and parties with the standing. Stipulation establishing the responsibility actions of each of the party permits the opening and the closure. Notice of the interest and the department a recommendation to permit deny the application request based upon the analysis of the request based on Rule 1457.012 Florida's Administrative Codes criteria impacts and relevant factors. Administrative hearings. A hearing based on Section 120 Florida State Statutes in which the administrative law judge hears the testimony and arguments on all issues involved with the recommended order. The order entered with the administrative law judge following the hearing that supports the order denies open and closure. Final order. The orders issued by the Department of Secretary may be adoption of the recommended order or may overrule the order and authorization denying the application's request. Chapter 1457.012 Florida Administrative Codes criteria in accordance sitting with the application to open and close the public railway highway grade crossing. The following criteria will apply: status, safety, necessity of the railway, vehicle traffic, alternate routes, effective of the rail operation expense, extensive restrictions on emergency type of the vehicles resulting from the closure of one or more of the public crossings off set opening a new crossing, design of the grade crossing and road and approaches, the presence of multiple tracks that are effective of the railroad and highway operation steps, and administrative process. The function and facility of the public highway railway grade crossing processing is the conducting with the Central Rail Office with the following sense. Central Rail Office reviews the application to ensure the necessary information provided with the crossing of the public at the grade railway crossing. Central Rail Office acknowledges the receipt, seeks the responsibility of the application of all the affected parties. Central Rail Office does not primarily in the evaluation. Application must establish compliance with the criteria of 1457.012 Florida Administration Code. Central Rail Office may facilitate negotiation and resolve difference of application meets in 1457.012. The Florida Administrative criteria is agreed upon with all the parties. The Central Rail Office will draft a stipulation for the parties. This agreement outlines each of the parties' responsibility, execution stipulation. Parties serve as the final order and permit to open and close the crossing. If the parties cannot agree with the stipulation of the parties, the Central Rail Office will issue a notice of intent for the permit to deny the opening and the closure of the crossing based on the data submitted with the application process. The notice of administrative hearings is submitted to all the parties with the notice of the intent, allowing 21 days in which these request an administrative hearing. Acceptance of notice of intent by all the parties and the failure to request for the hearing in accordance with Chapter 120.57 Florida State Statutes by petitioning party will result with the execution and distribution of final order of the department. If administrative hearing is requested within 21 days, the department will refer to the petition. The Division of Administrative Hearings and Scheduling and Administrative Law Judge conducts the hearing, issuing recommended order of final order is executed with the Department of Security upon completion, opening, and closure of the District Railroad Corridor. Coordinator will inspect the site with compliance with the department standards. Photos are provided with the Central Rail Office. Following completion of the project, U.S. Department of Transportation grade crossing inventory form submitted with the Central Rail Office of the Federal Railroad Administration by the District Rail Coordinator. Application crossing data is entered with the Department of the Railway Highway crossing inventory by the district. Chapter 5, Railroad Safety Inspection Program. Introduction. The Department of the Railroad Safety Inspection Program participates in the National Railroad Safety Program to promote the safety of all the areas of railroad operations, reduce the death, injuries, damage to the railroad property. The State Railroad Safety Inspection Program helps to ensure the railroad safety for the benefit of the railroad employees, the Florida residents, and visitors in commerce. The Department of Railroad Inspectors certified by the Federal Railroad Administration compliant with the inspection activity of the federal inspector in the state of compliance with the Code of the Federal Regulation, Title 49, Part 212, the State Safety Participation Regulations, Railroad Safety Inspections. Railroad Safety Inspectors conduct inspections, activities, and discipline, hazardous material, motive power, and equipment, the operating practice, signal and training control, and track inspection overall. The program inspectors receiving the training of the certification laptop computers, but from the FRA, the continuing of the inspection through the state, and completing at least one of the inspection reports from each of the day of the inspection. The report will include a list of number of the units inspected, a detailed report of any of the defects of the violation sent in a timely manner by the FRA and with the railroad. Inspect Amtrak's commuter railway operations Class 1 through 3, Class 1 and through 3, and seaport terminal switching companies and tourist railroads. Provide information guidance for the railroad compliance with the federal regulations. Inspect business that ship receive the transload hazardous material, recommended civil penalties, and non-compliance federal regulation. Conduct complaint investigation. Conduct incident and collision investigation supporting the FRA and the National Transportation Safety Board investigation. Conduct special project with abstract audits for the Federal Railroad Administration. Federal edge inspectors working in the Florida as if the Department of Rail Office of the District Rail Coordinators as necessary. Hazardous Material Inspector. The Railroad Safety Inspector for the hazardous material are the RSI-HM that conducts the inspection under the CFR 49, Part 171 through 174, Title 49, U.S. Standard Code, Chapter 51, Federal Regulation of the Transportation Hazardous Material in cooperation with the Federal Railroad Administration, Homeland Security, Transportation Security Agency, local authorities. Railroad Safety Inspector Hazardous Material reviews industrial waiver the request to conduct statewide inspection hazardous material compliance with the following areas: tanker cars, containers, and railroad yards, trains, inclusive of ammunition trains, business, transloading facilities, shipping papers, hazardous material placards, placement of the hazardous material placards in the trains, required documentation, industrial compliance with the training equipment requirements, training documentation for the employment of hazardous material accidents and incidences. Motive power and equipment. The Railroad Safety Inspector for the motive power and equipment conducts the inspection throughout the state of the passenger locomotives, the car, the freight locomotives, industrial that conducts inspection, prepares the railroad rolling stock, the federal regulation for the equipment inspection of the Title 49 CFR Part 215, 223, 229, 231, 232, 238, and 239. The Railroad Safety Inspector of the motive power and equipment ensures the compliance with the freight car rail safety standards, safety glazing standards for the locomotive and passenging cars, locomotive safety standards, railroad safety appliance standards, brake system safety standards, passenger equipment safety standards, passenger trains emergency preparedness. Operating practice is the Railroad Safety Inspector for the operating practice is reasonable and ensure the compliance with the operational regulations found in the Title 49 CFR Part 214, 217, 218, 219, 220, 221, 222, 225, 228, 232, 240. Inspections include compliance with the following areas: railroad operation safety rules, regulations concerning training and testing operating employees, protection employees working on the track of the equipment, drug and alcohol prohibition, and railroad and communications and training identification, use of locomotive horns, accidental incident injury reporting, hours of service operating employees, secure unintended equipment, engineering certification, signals and training control. The Railroad Safety Inspector for the signal and training control conducts the statewide inspection compliance with the Title 49 CFR Part 214, 228, 234, 236. In addition to the signal training control inspection, the Railroad Safety Inspector for the track Train control works with the railroad signal personnel with the conduct of periodic tests on signal equipment. The railroad safety inspector, signal and train control also participates in the Department of the Highway Railway Grade Crossing Diagnostic Field reviews the signal and safety enhancement. Railroad safety inspection include highway railway grade crossing signal, railroad wayside signals, cab signals, wayside locomotive apparatus, positive train control system. Track. The railroad safety inspector conducts the track inspection duty to ensure the railroad meets the minimum track standards compliance with the Title 49 CFR Part 213, 214. Additional, the railroad track safety inspector track conducts the bridge, roadway work inspection. Track inspection may be conducted with a high rail vehicle travel on the track. Walking inspection of the FRA geometry of the cars. Observation made but moving by the riding of the locomotive rear of the car of the passenger trains. All right, Chapter 6, Florida Rail System Plan. The Department is responsible for developing the Florida Rail System Plan according to Section 341, 302.3 of the Florida Statute. The Rail System Plan, including identification, priorities, programs, funding levels required for the meets of statewide needs. The plan must meet, update every 5 years to cover the passenger rail service, the freight rail service. The plan must be consistent with the other transportation planning of the Department is conducted with the recognition of the role of the rail plays the state overall transportation. The Department adopts a two-step approach to developing the rail system plan that meets the various state of the federal requirements. The first step of the development of the policy element to the plan, followed by the second step of developing the investing element. The policy and the element, the documentation of the policy element is established a vision for the passenger and freight rail transportation in Florida, the policy of the framework, goals and strategies, policy strategies to guide the future state rail investments and decisions. The investment element identified the inventory needs of established the priority investment state funds using the policy framework of the policy element set forth for the future action step necessary to implement the plan. Definitions: American Recovery Reinvestment Act, the economic stimulus package enacted with the Congress in 2009 with the stimulus is intended to create jobs and promote investment consumer spending during the recession of the 2008 and 2009. Commuter rail service, the passenger rail transportation service between the city and the city center and outer suburbs, commuter towns, and other locations draw a large number of the commuters, people who have traveled on a daily basis. Trains operate the following schedule of speeds varying from 60 to 100 kilometers an hour or 30 to 125 miles an hour. Distance change orders of the zone pricing may be used. Florida Transportation Plan. Florida Transportation Plan establishes a long range with the goal provided with the policy framework expenditure of the federal and state transportation funds in Florida. Each of every 5 year, the department takes the lead in updating the plan to respond to now trends and challenges to meet the future mobility needs of Florida residents and the various visitors and business. Freight rail service. The type of the rail service is compromised with the group of the freight cars hauled with one or more locomotives on the railway, ultimately transporting the cargo between the 2 points as part of the logistic chain. Trains may haul the bulk material intermodulate containing the general freight and specialized freight and is the purpose of design cars. High-speed rail service. The typical passenger rail transportation operates significantly faster than the normal speed of the railway traffic. The International Union of Railway defines high-speed rails as a system of rolling stock infrastructure with a regularly operated with above 150 miles an hour, new tracks of 124 miles an hour with existing tracks. The different aspects of the higher speed rail that use the continuous welded rail, which reduces the track vibration discrepancies between the rail segments enough to allow the trains to pass as a highway speed. At high speeds. Intercity passenger rail service. The passenger rail transportation service that covers the longer the distance for the commuter and regional trains. Passenger Rail Investment Improvement Act, the federal legislation to strengthen the U.S. passenger railway network, testing Amtrak, U.S. Dept, Federal Railroad, and state and with other stakeholders improving service operation facilities of the Passenger Railway Investment Improvement Act that focuses on the intercity passenger rail, including the Amtrak long distance route, the northeastern corridor, state-sponsored corridors throughout the nation, and the development of high-speed railway corridors. Passenger rail service. The type of the rail service includes passenger carrying the vehicles. It may be self-powered, multiple unit rail car, elsewise can be a combination of one or more locomotives, one or more unpowered trailers known as the coaches or cars or carriages. The passenger train travels between the station and depots at which the passenger may be boarded or disembarked. In most of the cases, the passenger train operate with a fixed schedule and or have superior track occupancy rights over the freight trains. The Private Investment Improvement Act, other than federal requirements. In 2008, the Congress passed the Passenger Rail Investment Improvement Act, requiring the state and the president prepare the state rail plan to eligible federal funding of the defining elements required of the plan. The American Recovery Reinvestment Act, passed with the Congress 2009, requires the project funded with the Intercity Passenger Rail Service Corridor with the Capital Assistance Section 301, funded with included the state rail plan. Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 22102 requires states that receive the federal financial assistance of the state rail projects establish an adequate plan for rail transportation in the state and suitable project says updating, revision, and modifying the plan. Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 227 says establishes the guideline for preparing the state rail plans. Your Florida Railway System Plan legal requirements developing a state rail plan establishes the Florida State Statute Chapter 341, 3023 that establishes authority for the Department of the Rail Office to prepare, maintain, coordinate, administrative the plan. Its Department Secretary authority to improve the plan. The state approved of the plan to be submitted with the U.S. Secretary of the Transportation review the initial plan, which shall be completed with no later than January 1st, 2011, be revised and resubmitted every 5 years for reapproval of the U.S. Secretary of the Transportation. The purpose of the state rail plan is to set forth the state policy regarding with freight and passenger rail transportation, including commuter rail operations in the state, establish period covered over the state rail plan, present priority strategies to enhance rail service in the state, benefits from the public, serve the basic federal state rail investment with the state. Federal railway system shall be coordinated with other state transportation planning with the goals and programs set forth the rail transportation role and transportation system. The department shall provide with the adequate responsibility notice opportunity for the community and other input with the public railway corridors, community transit authorities operating and effective the rail operation of the state, unit, local government, and other interested parties in the preparation and review of the state rail plan. The department shall review the freight and passenger rail service activities and inactivities proposed with the regional plan agencies, regional transportation authorities, municipalities within the state and neighboring states of the southeast U.S. and should include the recommendation base made by such agencies and authorities, municipalities as deemed appropriate by the state. Florida Railway System content. Federal Railway System Plan content. The Federal Railway System Plan shall minimum contain the following: an inventory existing of all railway transportation rail service facility within the state, analysis of the role in rail transportation, Florida Transportation Plan, review of all the railway line states, including the proposed highway speed railway corridors, significant rail line segments not not currently in service, statement of state passenger rail service objectives, including minimum service levels and rail transportation routes in the state, general analysis of the rail and transportation economic environmental impacts in the state, including the congestion mitigation, trade, economical development, air quality, land use, energy use, community impacts, along with the rail investment program for the current future trade and passenger infrastructure of the state. The statement of the public financing issuing the rail project service in the state, including a list of the current and prospective public capital operating and funding the resources of the public and subsidized state taxation and other financial policies relating to rail infrastructure development. The identification of rail infrastructure issued within the state that reflects the consultation of all the relevant stakeholders, review of the major passenger freight intermodal rail connection facilities within the state, inspecting, including the seaports, priorities, optimization, maximize service and integration and efficiency between the rail and other modes of the transportation within the state. A review of the publicly funded for the project with the state and to improve the railway transportation safety and security, a performance evaluation, passenger rail service operating within the state, including the possible improvements of those in the service and the description strategies to achieve those improvements. The completion of the studies and reports for the high-speed railway corridor development within the state and the plan of funding of any of the recommended development in such corridors in the state, assuming the state in compliance with requirements of Title 49 CFR 22102. Long-range investment programs should be included the state rail plan that shall, in minimum, include the following matters: the list of any of the rail capital projects expected on undertaken and supported in the whole part by the state, detailed funding of the plan, those projected. List of rail capital projects should be included with the state rail plan, which shall be contained with the district with the anticipated rail public-private benefits in each of the subject project. The statement of the correlation between the project public funding of the contribution of the project, the public benefits, preparing the list of the intercity passenger rail capital project state. The Rail Transportation Authority should not take the consideration following matters: contributions made by non-federal, non-state sources of the use of the fees of the matching funds or other private capital involvement, rail capacity congestion effects on the highway, aviation, maritime capacity congestion, safety, regional balance, environmental impact, economic employment impacts, projected ridership, and other services measured by the passenger rail project. All right, Chapter 7, Rail Emergency Management Plan. The Rail Emergency Management Plan provides guidance for the statewide planning responding to the railroad system resources before, during, and after an emergency of the disaster situation. Florida Department of Transportation, FDOT, TECO, or Transportation Emergency Operations Center, State Emergency Operations Center at SECO, Emergency Support Functions, or ESF1 for the Florida Division of Emergency Management, Florida Railroad Administration, Florida Highway Administration, and Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. Activities: the Central Rail Office Manager will assign the Central Rail Office to save the specific of the rail function during the emergency and disaster. The rail resource to coordinate with the Central Rail Office will focus on the following activities: plan, coordinate, implement, appropriate preventive measures for the emergency disaster situation. Work with the Transportation Emergency Operations Center with effective railroad district railroad coordinates. Implement the Department of the Post-Emergency Disaster filed review and assessment of the highway railroad grade crossing lead by the district railroad coordinates. Determine the highway railway grade crossing impact with emergency disaster. Coordinate rail emergency disaster requirements for the state and federal funds for the district railway corridors for the Federal Highway Administration, the Federal Emergency Management Administration, and Federal Railroad Administration. Provide the data for the Transportation Emergency Operations Center in order to prepare maps operational status for the rail lines during the disaster recovery period. Information of the railroad's operational status will be collected with the cooperation of the FRA will be related by the Transportation Emergency Operations Center. The Central Railroad Manager for the design need will serve as the primary point for the contact railroad-related issues to support the Transportation Emergency Operations Center. The emergency support function for the Florida Department of Emergency Management and the State Emergency Operations Center. Communication Central Railway Office will coordinate with the communication with the railroad and railway industry official through the single point of contact. The radio resource for the priority is directed with the area of the greatest need. But the railroad, the FRA will provide with the supplemental information on the disaster damage railroad system operation status with the preparation of up-to-date maps. The Transportation Emergency Operations Center, the Emergency Management Central Rail Office will maintain a repository contact information for the rail representative's recovery. Central Office of Regular Rail Manager will assign available Department Rail Inspectors to assist the FRA and rail industry initial assessment of the damage to the rail lines. Central Office of Rail Manager will designate the Department of Rail Inspector of the team with the appropriate district rail coordinated with emergency disaster areas. Field reviews will include minimum of 2 photographs of the damage and the completion of the assessment of railway crossing of the single damage of the prior to the repairs. Coordinated with the Central Rail Office will maintain a list of the candidate crossing that may be temporarily closed, open, and temporary crossing closure of the implemented list of the provided with local law, emergency agencies, emergency survivors posts, but hospitals, public works, and railroad, etc. Working program management. Emergency disasters may be declared with the governor before the department can reimburse for the work performed by the event. Work performed on the state highway system will not be covered under the Federal Highway Administration Emergency Relief Funds. Central District Work Program Development Office will coordinate with the Federal Highway Administration and the Federal Emergency Management Agency on repair replacement funding. A sum of the payment agreement will be completed with the District Railway Corridor. Central Rail Office will facilitate funding reimbursement following the proper paperwork submitted with the District Railway Coordinator will work with the Federal Highway Administration and FEMA railroads, local communities on reporting and funding eligibility. Chapter 8: Use of locomotive horns at highway, railway grade crossing, and quiet zone application processes. Alright, use of locomotive horns and highway grade crossing in Title 49 CFR Part 229, 222, and 229 is the establish, maintain high level of public safety, responding to the concern of the community, seeking the relief of the unwanted horn noise, establishing requirements sounding of the locomotive horn of the railway crossing in compliance with the Title 49 CFR Part 222, and application process for the establishing quiet zone. The chapter provides with the guidance that all the parts participating with the application. Public authorities applying the quiet zone should contact the Federal Railroad Administration at www.fra.gov RPD/freight/1382 SHTML. Definition: alternative safety measures. ASM, the safety system procedure provided with the appropriate traffic control authority will after the review analysis determined by the FRA to be effective to substitute for locomotive horn and specific railway crossing application, but only the public authority, city council, city, county, state governmental entity with jurisdiction maintenance responsible for the public highway grade crossing can apply with the FRA for the quiet zone. If more than one public authority is involved, all the must be agreed with the quiet zone diagnostic field with review. A group of trained, qualified expert assembled to assess for the physical operating characteristics and conditions of the railway crossing with the proposed quiet zone to determine the cross safety requirements for the compliance with the train horn. Quiet zone funding. All quiet zones improvement must be locally funded unless otherwise titled the 2023 U.S. Standard Code Section 130 funds may not be used for the quiet zone improvement. The entire railway corridor will limit the quiet zone should be reviewed to determine the most effective improvements. All right, public authority, city council, and state government entity with the jurisdiction maintenance responsibility for public highway grade crossing located with the proposed quiet zone. The quiet zone is a section of the railway line at least 1/2 mile in length that contains one or more public crossings which in width so locomotive horns are not routinely sound. Supplemental safety measures and engineering improvements of the railway crossing quiet zone that would reduce the risk of the conclusion of the crossing. The state supplemental safety measures include installed to reduce the risk of level that would exist when the train horn was sounded into level below the national-wide safety risk threshold approved by the supplemental safety measures include permanent closure of 4-quadrant gates for the channelization devices, median barriers, one way of the street with the gates that fully block the street, the temporary closure, the requirements of the sound of the locomotive horn. Safety of public highway railway crossing require the locomotive horn to use except the required with the zone established maintained in accordance with the Title 49 CFR Part 222. The final running with reduce the total noise exposure setting with the maximum horn sounding with the durational mix of the horn sound level. Railroad must sound a horn 15 to 20 seconds prior to the train's arrival to the railway crossing, but not more than a 1/4 mile in advance of the crossing. The pattern of sounding of the horn remains 2 long, 1 short, 1 long, or repeated or prolonged until the locomotive occupies the railway crossing. Locomotive engineer may vary the pattern of the sound horn as necessary where the railway crossings are closely spaced. The minimum volume of the train horn is 96 decibels. Maximum is 110 decibels. All right, quiet zone application process. Public authorities. Notice of intent. Public authorities must provide a written notice of intent allowing the 60-day commitment period of the department and the railroad. Notice of intent will be provided with the following federal road administration. All the railroads to operate with the quiet zone rail line with the Central Rail Office, District Railway Coordinator is responsible for the control, crossing safety, law enforcement, environment enforcement authority having control over the vehicle traffic of the crossing. The state agency responsible for the highway safety, land orders, and any other private crossings within the quiet zone. Public authorities will coordinate with the diagnostic field review of the quiet zone crossing to include the public and private pedestrian crossing. Public authorities must work with the railroads regarding the cost of supplemental safety measures and maintenance. Public authorities will calculate the safety risk, adjust the increased risk of resulting with the silencing with the train horn, decrease the rail risk of safety improvements, and what is it? Supplemental safety measures and the ASMs. Public authority must install the safety improvements compliance with the manual of the uniform traffic control device use of locomotive horns on highway railway crossing, Title 49 CFR Part 222 and 229. Notice the quiet zone establishment. The quiet zone has approved, but the FFR of the public authorities must be approved by the certified man. Return the receipt of the question notice for the quiet zone establishment to the same recipient of the notice for the intendency of the lab no later than 21 days before the date of the train's horns are scheduled to cease. Sounding the notice of the quiet zone establishment cannot be served either earlier than 60 days of the notice intent was mailed until it lasted. Notice for the quiet zone establishment contains the written statement affirming the written of the comments and no comment statements having been received with each of the receipt notice of intent with the notice of quiet zone establishment, including the accurate, complete U.S. Department of Transportation grade crossing inventory form for each public and private pedestrian grade crossing within the quiet zone, such as the conditions existing with the crossing before any new safety special measures. Quiet zone application process. Railroads cannot prohibit the creation of quiet zone. Railroads may sound horn in quiet zone at a sole judgment of the engineer. The quiet zone application process department. The department retains the role of the relative to the engineering standards, order, and implementation safety improvement. The department provides preliminary expertise for the highway railway grade crossing. The department serves as a member of the diagnostic field review team. The department of district railway coordinator ensures the railway highway crossing inventory. And the FRA grade crossing inventory is updated accurately with the safety specific safety measures and upon the establishment of the quiet zone. New quiet zone requirements. All public crossing must have the highway have gates, lights, and constant warning time of the devices and power out. Indicative inventory information for each of the crossing quiet zone must accurately complete the prior to establishing the quiet zone. Crossing the quiet zone must comply with the manual uniform traffic control devices. Private crossing requirements. A private crossing that allows the access to the public, which provides access to active industrial, commercial, private crossing must have a diagnostic field review. The subject of the recommendation diagnostic field review team. The minimum of each of the approach to every private highway rail crossing the quiet zone shall be marked with a crossbuck stop sign in advance with a warning sign with advice of the motors that the train horns are not sounded at the crossing compliant with the MUT-CD standards. The pedestrian crossing requirements. A pedestrian crossing at a quiet zone must have the diagnostic field review and or subject to the recommendation of the diagnostic field review team. At the minimum of each report, every pedestrian grade crossing within the quiet zone shall be marked with a crossbuck stop sign and advance warning sign that advises the pedestrian train horns that are now sounded at the crossing compliant with the MUT standards. And that takes for the chapter, the Florida Department of Transportation Railway Handbook.